Hello, Lorain County, and welcome to another episode of the Culinary Enthusiast at the Lorain County Community College Culinary Arts Program. Thanks for joining us today. Today we have a really exciting day planned. We have some students from EHOVE Career Center with their instructor, Beth Funk, and they're going to do a demo for us. So I'm going to let Chef Funk kind of give us a little rundown of what they're going to do and introduce the students.
All right, welcome. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Beth Funk. I'm the Culinary Arts Instructor at EHOVE Career Center, and I have here with me today Victoria DeJesus and Shelby Richards, and we are going to demonstrate a project that our students have been working on in international cuisine. And Shelby and Victoria have chosen today to prepare for you some pierogies that have a particular kind of noodle dough to them that they will talk to you about in ingredients. And they have made a filling of potato, cheddar, and bacon, and they're going to show you how they've concocted how to fill them, seal them, and cook them for you today. So I'm going to turn it over to Victoria. She's going to start off here with her ingredients and a demonstration on constructing a pierogi.
All right. The pierogi dough is 2 1/4 cup of flour and 1 cup of sour cream for moisture, and 1/4 cup of butter.
Nice. I love pierogies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. My mother-in-law makes them. They're fantastic.
Yeah. 1 tablespoon of salt too. And you mix it up and sorry.
And you're kneading the dough lightly just to help bring all those ingredients together. And part of the construction of this dough is because sour cream has both fat and moisture, we have to give it a little bit of time to absorb the butter and actually, become firm as a dough.
Yeah.
So, and now,
All right.
okay, after a little bit of kneading on a floured surface, we're going to take the dough, and what are we going to do with it from here?
We're gonna roll it out.
Okay,
All right.
we're going to let you go for it there.
Was there a reason that you guys chose the pierogies for this project?
Yeah. We were doing international projects, and Shelby, she did Poland, and they
Right.
pierogies.
All right. So think of some food that was from Poland, right?
Yeah.
And pierogies seem to be a good one, right?
dish of Poland is pierogies.
All right.
Hard to use.
And what the students have always also been working on is part of their international cuisine projects are being incorporated into our Young Chef Inn. Every week we are open on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 until 1 o'clock, and we have room on our menu for different specials. So this is where we are taking the projects each week and featuring a different item from each area of the world that the students have chosen from. So this past week we actually did these pierogies, and we ran them in our restaurant, and nice to say we sold out of them. They were a very popular
nice.
item.
Very nice.
We served them with
We served them with a bratwurst and the vegetable of the week or day, which was carrots or Brussels sprouts.
Very nice. Kind of
Yep.
seasonal vegetables, right?
Right. Right. So here again, you see the dough is fairly firm and dry. It works very nicely. And what we really had a challenge with in developing this recipe is because, pierogies are supposed to be a substantial sized stuffed pasta. We had a little trouble figuring out what kind of cutter to use. We originally started with about a 2-inch biscuit cutter, and we found that that was a little too small. Then we moved on to a larger size crinkle cutter, and that one had edges that were a little too rough. So we actually found our best cutter was...
I'm guessing it's that orange cup right there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
It's really good.
Yes. Sometimes we find all kinds of tools that we need to figure out how to make a project, and we find the best tool for the job.
Right. Now we've put Victoria on the spot here a little bit because she's used to using a rolling pin that has handles and has casters to it. So we've put her right here on TV with a French rolling pin, which is a little different than what she's used to working with.
She's doing a good job.
Yeah, but she's
that
coming
dough
along
looks
real
really
good.
nice.
And this is a typical challenge here with a culinary student is, as our students learn and grow, they have to incorporate many tools and use them for the first or second time. So their skills really become very varied in the 2 years that they're in our program.
Very nice.
Okay.
So she's getting ready to
Alright.
cut that.
Yeah. Gotta,
That looks like maybe that's about 1/8 of an inch thick.
yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
They kind of have a
Do
nice
kind of
little
that.
clever way to do that there.
And over here we have some boiling water, right? Did we add any salt to this water or anything like that? Do we need some salt in it? No, we don't need any salt in the water? Okay.
Probably
All right.
not.
All right.
Okay, good. So now that we have, our base of the pierogies cut here, okay, you have your filling here. So we're going to take a little bit of the filling.
Just like
And again, we have a preparation here. This is, what's in this filling?
it's red potatoes, bacon, and cheese.
Yeah, I noticed it looked like there was little pieces of like the skin or something in there, right? Is that like the
No,
red
that's
potato
bacon.
skin? Oh, it's got some bacon
No,
in
you
there.
peel the potatoes.
Okay, very nice.
And the students, actually, some of the tools that they use to make this filling, because potatoes actually become gummy if you overmix them. So these two actually did a very nice job with a ricer, which presses the potatoes through a fine mesh screen and breaks them up so that they're nice and smooth and fluffy. So when they mixed in their other ingredients, they didn't have to overwork the potato mixture and create something that was a little bit tough.
All right. We've got a few minutes left here, so probably a good idea we can get these in the water cooking. Is that your role?
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and get those dropped and we'll get them cooking, okay?
Okay, so when you drop a pierogi into boiling water, you really want to make sure that you have some bubbles coming up out of the pan because you need that convection of the water so the pierogies do not stick to the bottom of the pot and burn, and also so that once they are done, they are going to float to the surface of the pot. So make sure when you are doing this on your own to have your water boiling and not just hot.
And we can crank that up a little bit here. And then we
Okay.
want to get our saute pan going here, right? Okay? Because those are only going to take a couple minutes in the water, right?
Yeah, you cook them until they float.
Okay. All right.
So in the meantime, now there are different ways that you can finish the pierogies. Shelby, do you want to talk about the two ways that we did these in the restaurant this week?
You can make the pierogies by boiling them and then sauteing them in butter. And then you can put caramelized onions on top if you'd like.
Oh, that's
And
always a
then,
nice thing.
What we did in the lab for the Young Chef In, we boiled the pierogies and then we deep fried them for a couple minutes, and they got really crispy and they're pretty good.
Yeah, it is nice to get that nice crispy skin on there. All
Okay.
right, so we got some other ones ready to go.
Good, good. So what we're doing here is we have whole butter, and you see how the butter foams. Okay, many times when you're working with a recipe, it'll say to heat the butter in a skillet until the foam subsides. What we're doing here is we're actually cooking the moisture out of the butter, and we're browning it just slightly so that when we put our pierogies in here, they're going to absorb the flavor of the butter and not so much the extra water that comes with it. So we're going to keep our pan moving. I'm going to help her out here a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, we'll
And then
brown
we've
these
got
up.
our pan to plate some pierogies up over here.
Set it off the side.
Get that ready to roll.
Okay. Here, you want to take over? Here, you take over. You two are the pros there. There we go. I'll just cover you till you have that ready. Now, pierogies can also be made and filled with different items. Common items include sauerkraut. You can do just potatoes themselves. But pierogies are always also being made with specialty ingredients. Feta cheese and spinach is a nice combination with the dough. And some chefs are actually getting kind of fancy and putting things like butternut squash,
Right,
crab
right.
meat,
Kinda like a-
Pomeroy chicken. So this is actually a really great project for our students because once they know the basics on any standard preparation, that's where the next time they do this, then we up the ante. We make a different filling. You know,
Nice.
we create something that's even a little bit better than the original preparation.
All right.
So this is why we chose, again, some of our basic demonstrations to do here so that we have a starting point on where to grow and build our craft.
All right. So we're plating up some of these pierogies, and we'll just put one, maybe two more on that plate, and then we'll put it over there. And so this is our first demonstration, and we're gonna, so after we get these plated up, we're gonna take a little bit of a short break, and then come back, and we're gonna have another demonstration from another student. Those are very nice. Good work there. Those look great. So, thank you guys very much for joining us today.
Right up front and center. Okay.
All right.
All right. And again, thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll be right back with another culinary demo from another student from EHOVE in a couple minutes. Well, welcome back to the Culinary Enthusiast. Again, we have Chef Funk and one of her students, Hayden Puntel. Did I get that right? All right, from EHOVE, and they're going to do another demonstration for us. So I'm going to just pass it right along.
All right, well, good. Well, Hayden is here today. He also worked on international cuisine this year, and he chose France as his country.
All right.
So 2 weeks ago in the restaurant, we featured one of his dishes that he came up with. So I'm going to go ahead and let Hayden get started and talk to you a little bit about what he chose to do. So Hayden, you are on.
All right, I did a type of Dijon chicken. Pretty much, we got a chicken breast and we cut it in half. And what we did here, we also cut it sideways, so that way it's going to be a little bit easier to cook and it'll be a lot quicker as well. And we're also going to have to pound out the chicken a little bit as well.
So that pounding out, it tenderizes it, plus
Yep.
it makes it a little easier to cook, too,
Yeah, a little
right?
bit quicker, yeah.
Very nice. All
Yeah.
right.
So.
Right, well, the dish he actually chose is a sautéed item, and when you're doing sauté work, you want to pick a small, thin cut of meat to work with. Usually we call it a scallop, we may call it a medallion, so we're basically making a chicken scallop. Now, we bought rather big chicken breasts, so he's doing a good job of cutting this down and making it into small pieces.
Right.
Okay, so, and pounding, again, makes it more even to cook and also a little bit more tender.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, then the two ingredients he is mixing now is he has some Dijon mustard, and of course Dijon is largely from France, and we found a really neat recipe that combined the Dijon mustard with balsamic vinegar, and the flavor combination between the pungent mustard and kind of the sweet and tangy balsamic vinegar really made a nice combination on this dish. So he's going to go ahead and he's going to season his chicken lightly in this mixture before we actually saute it. And this is one of the seasoning methods that we learn for our meats, is that we can do a dry rub, which could be as simple as salt and pepper. We can do a marinade, which is what we're doing here, or we could actually just glaze an item. So we work on the different ways to season items with the senior class as well.
And the marinade, not only does it put seasoning in, but oftentimes it tenderizes the product as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so depending on what's in the marinade.
And because this marinade is so strong, we don't need a lot of time with it. Here, trade you off there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I have a funny story. While Hayden's working on getting this kind of marinated, I went for a job interview once, and the chef that was interviewing me said to me, he says, "What can you tell me about an escalope?" And he was a French guy. And I said, well, a scallop, it's a kind of a shellfish, kind of, mollusk, and it's got, the shells. And he says, no, a scallop. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. It's from the ocean, and kind of having this discussion with him. And so finally, he articulated the fact that he was talking about a thin cut of meat. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, all right. So it was kind of an interesting thing, like knowing those French terms and what that cut of meat is, and that thin cut after it's been pounded out. So.
Okay. And just a little bit more fun French terms. Hayden is going to saute this chicken breast, and when we put it in the pan, we've heated some clarified butter instead of using whole butter. And saute in French actually means to jump, and that's what's kind of fun about sautés. You see these little bubbles jumping around the pan as we cook, so this will be fun here too.
Very nice.
Okay, so Hayden.
And this is a pretty quick dish to make.
Yes, yes, this is an easy dish. You could make this on a weeknight for dinner. If you're on a rush for lunch, or maybe you're just looking to, add a little neat seasoning to something you're already doing. This is a really great dish to do.
You hear that sound too?
Yep,
that's
that's
a sound.
beautiful.
That pan's nice and hot, and so that's kind of that sound that you really want to hear when you do saute. When it hits that pan, it sizzles, right? Yeah. Yeah. So another thing too, when you saute and that pan's nice and hot, you'll often see that the product that you put in there doesn't stick if the pan's properly seasoned and heated up.
Exactly. So, during the saute process, you want to brown the scallop or the small piece of meat in here. So we're going to cook it on one side, get a nice little browning to the meat. That's called the Maillard reaction, and we do this to develop flavor in our food. Okay, so looks good. Smells
Yeah,
good.
it sure
Can you all
does. It
smell
smells
this?
really nice.
Yeah.
Smells really nice.
Smell this. Okay. Now, some of the other ingredients that we're working on in this dish is usually with the saute, we are going to use some kind of aromatic vegetables, which we have some onions and we have some garlic. Okay, we also are going to be using some chicken stock to help make the sauce. And then we have a garnish. We're going to put some peppers in the pan, and we're going to finish it with some herbe de Provence. Now, herbe de Provence is a nice mixture of lavender. It's got some rosemary, some savory,
Start working on that
and
sauce,
it's
maybe
just
I
a
can
little
pop that
bit
in here.
different than using some of your standard
Okay,
ingredients
nice.
here. So really just a nice blend.
So
Okay,
I
so-
think we're going to start working on the sauce now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna add in.
So here, you can degrease your pan if you
Yep.
want to take a little bit out of there. Okay, just dump a little extra grease out of there. There we go.
And
Okay.
when you deglaze a pan, sometimes you have to be careful because that has a tendency to flame up sometimes too, correct? Yeah. No problems here though.
Okay, so we're going ahead. We've got our chicken stock in here, and then we want to add a little bit of our,
garlic.
okay, so we'll just go ahead, we'll add a little bit in there.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll add a little bit of our,
onions.
okay, add a little bit of our onions. Okay, am I getting
And
ahead?
No, you're good.
Students, what are my first words ever uttered in my life? Do you remember? My turn. Yes, I always like to do things. So everything is my turn. All right, good. So I love to help out in the kitchen. This is how my mother knew I was going to cook. I always
Right,
did this
right,
with her,
right,
so
right.
it's a very old habit.
Well, and we're
So-
kind of on a time crunch, so we're
Yep.
speeding this process along a
Right.
little bit.
Yep.
So we would probably let that reduce down maybe a little bit,
Yep.
and let our onions maybe get some flavor developed in
brown
the
them, yep.
onions and things like that,
We're
right?
going brown the peppers, onions, and
Right, right.
garlic a little bit.
Okay. It smells really nice. Yeah.
So as this reduces, usually, we'll taste the sauce. We have a little salt and pepper here that we can, adjust the seasonings on it. But it's about at this point that, we want to add our little bit of our herbe de Provence. 'Cause
Okay.
we want to hydrate those a little bit. Dried spices sometimes need a little time to absorb some moisture and bring out their full flavor. But we also want to be careful because dried spices are also more potent than the fresh spices.
Right.
So, but this is a really
Yeah.
good, we got a nice fresh, blend of these savories and lavenders. So it adds a real aromatic quality, and I feel bad for all of you out there
Yeah,
on
you
the other
can't smell
side
it.
of the camera here because
It's-
we can smell this wonderful stuff, and we can start to have our stomachs grumble.
You
'cause
can
it's
see
working
it though.
hard.
You can see
Yeah.
all those flavors happening
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
So
we sure can.
Very, very nice. So we ready to plate this up? What's the plate up for this?
Pretty much, we're gonna put the chicken back in here so it
Okay.
soaks
Go
in the
ahead.
sauce
All right.
a little bit. Oh, thank you.
There. Yeah.
And we're just gonna pretty much cook it up a little bit more again, and so that all the sauce can recook into the chicken,
Right,
and
right.
that way the chicken gets reheated.
Okay.
And then we're just pretty much just gonna plate it up and.
Now, is that cheese that I see over here?
Yep.
Is that part of this dish too?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna put maybe a slice or half a slice of provolone cheese on there.
All right.
Melt it, cover the pan. That way the cheese gets nice and melted on there.
Okay.
Kind of
So we do that now?
Yeah, we can do
Okay.
that
Yeah.
So you want a whole slice on there or half a slice?
now. We'll do half a
All right,
slice.
I'll give that to you. Does that
Yeah,
look good?
thank you.
One of the challenges our students also go through is modifying recipes to cook on the equipment that's at hand. So, if we were doing this in our restaurant,
So we just
we
put
would
a cap
actually
on there,
take
right?
Yeah,
our
yeah.
chicken onto a small sizzler platter and put it up under a salamander, which has a top broiler to it, so the cheese would melt from the top down. So here again, we have to modify things.
Yeah.
So, our students have to learn to think
gonna throw a little
quickly
cover on it that
about
steams
many
it,
things
right?
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
do.
That way the cheese gets nice and melted and
Yeah.
gooey.
Right.
All
Super.
right. Let's go ahead
All
and
right.
put that on a plate.
There we
That
go.
looks awesome.
Okay, and we can give that sauce, there we go, just a nice little,
Right over the top of that.
beautiful.
Very nice. Chefs, thanks for coming out and doing
right.
this demo for us. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
You did an awesome job with it.
Okay.
What was that dish called again?
Oh, I don't know that I can't say the exact French term, but I call it Dijon chicken.
Dijon chicken. Thank you very much.
All
And
right.
we'll be back in just a couple minutes with another segment. And the student's going to do some version of is it a soccer tort?
Actually, an opera tort.
An opera tort.
Yes.
Right. Okay, an opera tort. All right. Thank you very much. We'll be back in a couple minutes after a short break. Welcome back to the Culinary Enthusiast, where we have Chef Funk from EHOVE, and her students have been preparing some wonderful food for us today. And today we have Alexis Graff, it was, right? And you're going to be doing an opera torte for us, correct? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys take over, and if you need anything, well, let me know. All right?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Well, Lexi Graff here has been working very hard this year on pastry arts. And one of the concoctions that she has been working with has been a classic opera torte. So she is going to show you a variation on this opera torte that she has been working on just this week. And again, an opera torte is a Viennese style torte that has many layers of an almond genoise with a mocha buttercream, and then is finished with a chocolate ganache. So yeah, yum.
Yeah,
so,
sounds good.
So we're going to let
All right.
Lexi here go ahead and show you how she mixed up the basic sponge cake for this particular opera torte.
Let's get started.
Okay. First, you add 2 whole eggs into a stand mixer, and
Do you need that to come off, or?
Just want to make sure it's in place there. Okay, and we're going to lift it up, right?
I don't
Okay,
have
and then
this
your
one
dial
locked.
is on the back there.
It's locked in.
It
You're
is?
just trying to move it over.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's locked down. And then
Okay.
your speed
Then-
indicator's right
Okay,
over there.
okay, I'm going to turn it on for you there. There's 2. It's got 10 speeds.
You gotta whip it.
There you go.
Yeah. So are you used to using like a KitchenAid mixer or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. So it's a little different mixer. You guys have to
Yeah.
kind of adapt sometimes, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, but she's whipping the eggs, and tell us why you're whipping the eggs here. What are you looking for?
Looking for air incorporated into the batter.
Okay.
All right, because a genoise cake is usually not leavened with a baking powder or a baking soda,
Right.
we have to use air, which is a physical leavener, and get as much air into it.
That
So
looks-
by,
Yeah, very, very nice.
Yeah,
It looks
so-
like a really nice cake batter there.
So by the whipping process, we're going to use the whole eggs. We're going to try to get them doubled in volume, a light lemon yellow color, and they're going to thicken slightly as we go along here. So once we achieve this, then we'll let Lexi add her other ingredients here. Okay? About how long does this take you to mix up?
This takes like 4 to 5 minutes.
4 to 5 minutes, okay.
All right.
So in the meantime, you know, again, a genoise style cake is a very thin cake. Usually itself does not have a lot of flavor, so which makes it perfect for adding fillings and syrups to it. So some of the different cakes that we make, Dobus tortes, you know, the opera torte, we layer them with different kinds of syrups, whether it's a kirsch syrup, you know, a brandy style syrup, an espresso syrup, and then the buttercreams can have any levels of flavors from fruit to chocolate to, again, the mocha. So real nice way to go with that.
Yeah. So what ingredients do you have over here? So I see
Okay.
that sugar.
Yep. For the batter in this bowl, we're gonna add a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, 1 cup of almond flour,
Okay.
and then you're gonna fold in the 3 tablespoons of flour.
Okay.
And then in a separate bowl, you're gonna mix the egg whites until it's
Okay.
a meringue, and then you just fold it into the.
Got it. So, does that meringue have any sugar in it, or is it
Yeah,
just
it
okay.
has the 1 tablespoon of sugar, and it has an 1/8 teaspoon of cream of tartar.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and also, you know, as in challenging Lexi in her baking and pastry arts, you know, she takes essentially the same ingredients and makes many, many different things. You know, already this year she's made ladyfingers, and she's done a tiramisu. She has made a Charlotte Russe, again with a ladyfinger crust to it, and a raspberry Bavarian. So we're really challenging her on her baking and pastry arts. So we really asked her to come here and show us, you know, again, a variation on this, because we hope to see her going to competition. And one of the things we do as a culinary program is we belong to a student career tech organization. Ours is what's called FCCLA, and coming up in February and March, the students will take projects similar to this to competition, where they'll be in a room with anywhere from 6 to 8 different judges, and they will be evaluated on everything from their technique to their sanitation, to the quality of their product, to the taste of their product. So they have to get this whole project done within 1 hour's time. So this is really good practice. We're
It
putting
is
Lexi on the
great
spot a little bit
practice.
here today.
I know, and
Okay.
so this method is kind of like a separate egg foaming method, right? Where you're doing the egg yolks,
Yeah.
and then you're going to do the meringue on the other one.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got foamy egg yolks there.
Go ahead, mix it up.
Looks good.
Okay. All right, so at this point, take that off. Okay.
Yeah, and this bowl's these are a little goofy, so we can help you get that one
Yeah.
off. A little different than a KitchenAid.
There we go. Okay, here.
Okay.
There you go.
Give it a little attitude, and I'll
Yep.
take that for you.
And then you just put all the ingredients in.
So we just added some flour, right?
This is the powdered sugar.
Oh, powdered sugar. Okay.
You just fold it in.
So you're folding that in, right?
Yep. Okay.
Folding method is kind of a light way of mixing in products, so you don't knock the air out of
Yep.
the eggs, right?
Lexi, can you turn your bowl around just to the front, show
Yeah.
your audience what you're doing there, just for fun. There we go.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
nice.
Try to get that
All
in
right.
there.
Looks
Okay.
good.
And then you
Okay.
add the almond flour.
Look around you. How about if I get this going for you here?
Here we go. We'll slide down just a little bit. Looks really good. Okay. Yeah, this is, you got to kind of start with the
I
whisk
see that.
in the bowl.
I see that. See,
Yeah.
even the challenge for me. I'm
Right,
used to a
right.
couple different mixers, but this one's a new one for me.
Right.
All right, so
There you
even
go.
here again, another skill that is kind of
So what did you
unspoken
just
in the
add in
kitchen.
there?
I added 3 tablespoons of flour.
Okay. And so we're getting this nice batter going. You want to show them, your audience, what that's looking like? So it's a little different. It's not quite as light as it was with just the sugar in it. So now we've added a little bit of flour in it.
There.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And then you can just set that aside.
So we're going to get we're going to get our meringue going, right?
Yep. You just put
Okay.
the egg whites in.
Now I know it's really, meringue is kind of a tricky thing to make sometimes, right?
Yes.
So what's tricky about it?
Like where you put in the sugar and the cream of tartar.
Right,
like
right. And you have to make sure your egg whites are really clean too, right?
Yeah.
No egg yolks in them.
Yep.
Yeah, I know sometimes if you add your sugar too quick into the meringue or right from the get-go, it never like dissolves. And
Yeah.
you get like this grainy kind of sugary texture in it.
Right. So pastry arts is a little different than culinary because you have to be quite a bit more precise. We spend a lot of time teaching our students how to measure ingredients, whether it's by weight or by volume. They have to be aware of the temperature of their ingredients. They also have to be very aware of the consistency. So on our menu this year in our Young Chef In, our basic competencies are to make cheesecake, which is changing the texture of a batter. We also have a creme brulee, which is a set custard. We have pastry, which we've been doing different kinds of pies, whether it's pumpkin, apple, cherry. And then we also have a chocolate fudge cake, where they
Okay.
actually do a buttercream and actually make a sponge cake. So we're working very hard to do some basic baking competencies, along
Very
with
nice.
making our own dinner rolls for the restaurant, making our own quick breads. So on any of the rotations that the students have, they may be challenged with doing baking on
And
any
they do
given
all
day.
that from scratch, right?
Absolutely, no
Everything's
mixes.
from scratch?
No
Very,
mixes.
very nice. That's
No
great.
mixes. And we
So
have
they
our
learn
suc-
some great skills.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of successes and a lot of failures too. This week we let our yeast rolls proof too long, so we actually had an old dough that just fell apart, which, it smelled bad, it looked bad. But here again, we're a teaching
That's right.
institution, so even from our failures, we tend to learn quite a few good techniques.
All right, cool.
Okay,
So
how we
how's that
looking?
meringue looking? Looks like
Now-
we're starting to get the whites are starting to get a little
All right.
foamy, right?
Yep. And that's when you should add your cream of tartar in.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so a little bit of patience. I tend not to be very good at baking just because I'm more of a culinary chef, and I find the number one thing for me in baking is having patience, because I like to get things done quickly, and as you can see, sometimes you just have to give something an extra minute to achieve the proper texture, consistency, or otherwise be right to go. I have had so many baking failures that at one point I said, I'm never baking again, until I had a really good baking and pastry instructor just say, Beth, mise en place, which means getting everything ready and setting aside time, is really important. So, you know, after that one class, I really got back into baking, and I'm happy to say that I like to get into artisan breads. I really like to work with those yeast doughs, you know, that have whole grains or nuts and seeds, and I also like to make cookies. So that's my real specialty. So, you know, Lexi over here with her interest in cakes is really good for me because I'm actually learning a lot from one of my students. And in education, you know, you can't always be the only one that knows everything. A little give and take with what your students do is a real important relationship. So this is where, you know, here again, we invite all of you as our public to come to our restaurant to see what our students are doing because they will teach you something as well. And that's a really great opportunity.
So we've got, over here we've got a foamy, that the egg whites are starting to get kind of real foamy.
Right, and we
so
want
we're ready
them
to kind of start to put some sugar in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
So we really only want to whip those egg whites till they are just a stiff peaks. What we're looking for is that they hold their shape and that they are still shiny. We don't want them so dry that they look curdled and kind of dull because we want that shininess. That's when they mix in the best here. All right, so again, patience. If it were me, it would be together and it would be flat, but you can see she's going to make this cake beautiful for us.
Right. So what's the rest of your ingredients here? You got your batter started here. You've got some cake that you already made, right?
Yep.
And then what do we have in this bowl
We
right
have
there?
chocolate ganache, which is half chocolate, half cream, and then you just combine it. And then right here, I have coffee buttercream.
All right, nice.
All right, good.
So we're going to kind of start to layer that, right, with the,
Yes.
all right.
Okay, got that there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give it a little attitude. There you go.
Well, this side's still
There you
locked
go.
in. There you
Give it a
go.
little attitude there.
There you go.
Is that off? There we
Yep.
go.
There we go.
Okay.
Wow, that meringue looks
Yeah, beautiful.
amazing.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
it looks
That's
really,
exactly
really
what you want. Is you want that nice, you know, stiff peak.
nice. Yeah, nice work.
Here, if I can bring this over. Am I sneaking in here? Yeah. Can you see me here? That nice stiff peak. That's what you want. I'd sometimes use fun little terms. You know, it has to look a little stiffer than like what you get at Dairy Queen. So it looks really nice.
And you just fold it in.
So again, we're back to that folding technique, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then we're going to put that in the pan, and that's going to be the batter, right?
Yep.
And then you're going to show us how to put this cake together, correct?
Yes.
Nice. You want to show everybody?
Okay,
kind of
again,
what's
turn that
going
around
on?
for the camera.
Yeah.
There we go. Beautiful. What a nice light batter. The real trick behind folding is to mix things evenly without deflating all that good aeration technique that you have. So as you can see, she folds up and under into the batter here.
Right. I have a little trick that I do when anytime I'm trying to lighten a batter like that. That batter that she put the egg whites in was pretty stiff.
Yes.
And I like to take just a little bit of the egg white or whatever it is, and then just kind of lighten it up before I add the rest of it to
Right,
it.
exactly.
Makes it a little easier to incorporate.
Right,
things,
and that's
but-
one of the untold real techniques in doing any pastry arts is you're changing the texture of a batter, you know, a little at a time. And so
Very
that's
nice.
that makes
looks
all
like
the
it's
difference.
ready to go.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right. Looks very nice.
So now the pan is prepared. Usually we grease the pan lightly, and then we like to use a little baking parchment in the pan so that our cakes are easy to take out of the pans. Spread nice and even. Then.
Yeah. Very good.
Good. There we go. All right, and then once we have our cake into the pan, Lexi, how do you bake this? What temperature and how long does this
You
cake
bake it at 400 for about 5 minutes.
Wow,
goes
that's a
real
hot
quick.
oven. You know,
Yeah,
for
so
baking.
that's real
think
quick, and you
that's a-
need
that's a
that hot oven, you know, to set the eggs and the little bit of flour that is in there, because you really want to catch that air before it dissipates out of the batter. Okay, beautiful.
All right. Nicely done. Let me take
Okay.
that out of your way, and
Now-
then.
And now, just like magic, we have the cake baked for you.
Right.
So now, we'll let you show how to assemble this particular cake right here. Okay, now some of the ingredients that we used in the ganache, obviously your ingredients are really important to, you know, pick carefully. So in baking, you want to pick the best ingredients that you can. So here, you know, the sugar, the eggs, of course you want high quality, but now for the buttercream, we used an unsalted butter, and we actually used coffee crystals. But if you can get a good imported coffee powder, or you can actually use some very strong espresso, that's even better yet. And then for the ganache, we picked out some very high quality chocolate, because that flavor is key. You know, unlike, you know, savory cooking where you can add a little salt or a little pepper or maybe a little spice, with baking you really need to have those good quality ingredients to put together a final product that's going to taste and look good.
So earlier, and when Alexis started to get this together, we're talking about sponge cake and genoise, and you said that you could flavor it with some different syrups and different flavors and things like that. So with this, could you do like a coffee kind of syrup or something like that on it?
Traditionally, you would soak it in coffee.
Okay. Very nice.
The tiramisu we made this week, we actually had ladyfingers, and we soaked those in an espresso coffee, and you know, we upped the ante. We added a little of Camorra, which is a chocolate liqueur, and gave it that little bit of that slightly little bit of alcoholic kick to it, and served it to our board members. So we hope they had a happy meeting when they went on there. So yes, you know, baking and pastry really, again, has a very great venue for presenting, you know, beautiful flavors boldly.
Right.
I think a lot more than some of our savory cooking that we do. So,
she's doing a nice job. Alexis, you're doing a nice job of getting that evenly spread on those layers.
Yeah. And here, now, again, we've put her on the spot. You know, usually we make this torte round, and we have a cake pedestal that we use that we can spin and turn and make it real easy. Yeah. So here she's on the spot using all those good techniques.
And I think, you know, personally, a square or rectangle cake, for me, is much more difficult to decorate or to ice. You know,
right. So, yes, we have a couple things. You know, I've been trying to challenge my students with a similar cake recipe that is chocolate that has peanut butter, and it's actually called a pave, and I'm not sure if that's the shape of the cake or not. Again, I'm not as strong with my pastry arts, but I just love that, you know, whole ability to slice a cake across and see all these layers.
Nice layers.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
Is it layered with meringue?
No, actually, it has a bit of a dacquoise in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So
you know,
that's
similar.
To a
Yeah,
meringue, right?
Yeah, meringue. You know, meringue is usually something. You know, the egg whites. The dacquoise is a set. You know, you bake the egg white mixture. So yeah.
That I think is where that the name comes from.
Oh really?
Of that, yeah, of the, you know, having that meringue type layer in that. So.
Again, I must admit.
No,
that's not my
but
forte.
I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah. So this is really exciting. You know, to really, you know, learn something else.
Yeah.
Okay, and then our
Next
top layer
layers
there.
going on there.
Okay.
And then with this one, you just...
Now tell us what's in this. What is a ganache?
Ganache is heavy whipping cream, heated to almost boiling but not. And then you just stir in your chocolate.
So with this, do you have any, you know, thinking that there's mocha kind of flavor in the layers, do you have any kind of mocha in the ganache as well? Or is that just straight chocolate ganache?
It's just straight chocolate ganache.
Okay. All right. And so the idea is that you got a nice coating on top and it drizzles down the side.
Yep.
And just kind of,
And
that looks pretty amazing.
And voila.
So all finished. Very nice work.
All right, good. Here,
So,
let's turn this around so you can see how beautiful it is on this side.
Very nice.
She's got the nice drizzle of the chocolate. You know, look how beautiful. Ooh, there we go, to the camera. How about if I said, whoop. There we go.
Well,
there we go. Beautiful.
we want to thank EHOVE Career Center and Chef Funk for bringing her students out here today. Very nice to have everyone here. And like I said, I really appreciate it. And we're going to have a tour of the school today and do some other exciting things. So, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Culinary Enthusiast here at the Lorain County Community College Culinary Arts Program. And we'll take a look at all these beautiful things that they created, the students created today. Very nice work. Thank you very much again. Have a great day.